IVM.
Hello one, hello all. Welcome to the Diary of the Traveling Professor. And I'm Siddharth Deshmukh, your friendly neighborhood traveling professor, trying out a new mic. So hopefully the audio quality is better and hopefully the mad squirrel that you're listening to in the background may be a little dimmer. Who knows though? Who knows how these things work? Technology, I'm telling you, I teach digital subjects, but I'm particularly bad at using technology myself. Well, what do I have in store for you this week? It's a very interesting time of the year when people are actually kind of, if you're a student, you're about to pass out. I mean, not like faint, but obviously pass out of the institution that you're in. So you're learning a lot of subjects, but your heart is like somewhere else. And especially if you've been in the pandemic, well, it's been a rough year for everybody. Yeah. But I just thought that I wanted to talk about a particular subject that is related to a subject that I teach. And it was interesting to kind of ponder deeply about this. Well, I've always kind of, when I was a working professional, a full-time working professional, before I became an academic, I used to manage a lot of projects. Yeah, I used to manage a lot of projects, especially in the digital era. And I have always been kind of curious about knowing the latest project management technologies. Yeah, I'm a bit of a geek that way. And I wanted to figure out what is the best project management technique that you can actually use in today's day and age. Does that really, make a difference? So today's diary entry was about figuring out what this project management technique or methodology or whatever you want to call it is all about. Well, two things come to mind. One is the agile school and the second is the waterfall school. I told you it's going to be a little crazy, a little nerdy, but I'm going to go ahead with it. The diary entry is, and I'm going to dumb it down, maybe make it as simple as possible. Agile is all about perhaps making a lot of iterations, getting client feedback all the time and making sure that you keep creating your product or service or whatever you're doing to reach the closest possible approximation to the client's vision and deliver a project to, basically quality, time, cost, and all of the other constraints that any project management, a manager rather would be very interested in doing. But if I have to look at agile, and that's the many methods of agile like Scrum and all of that, and I'm not getting too much into the details and the nitty-gritties of it. It is based on a single premise. And the premise is, let's not kind of figure out what we think we know and let's not make too many assumptions, but let's try and build something very rapidly in a way that we can quickly destroy it and move ahead after getting feedback on what we've built. And it has a lot of advantages. The advantages are that when you build something, hey, the person who sees it says, maybe I need this instead. Or maybe now that I've seen this, I don't need that functionality or I don't need that feature. And sometimes, it actually works to, your advantage if you're actually delivering any project to a client. The second method, which is kind of not very fashionable nowadays, is the waterfall methodology. So what does the waterfall methodology mean? It means that, everything goes in a linear spec sort of way. You get the requirements from the client, then you convert those requirements and analyze them. Then you start developing it, especially if you're in the coding sort of business. You develop whatever you have to develop physically or virtually or digitally. And then you test this stuff out and then you deliver it and you wait for feedback. Obviously, the advantages are hidden, and I'm going to talk about them a little later, but the disadvantages are many, which is why Agile came into being. The disadvantages are because it's linear and because requirements are frozen before and then, the build-up is done. It's a very costly process that, you might have to undo and to your cost and to your client's cost, right? The advantages of waterfall. Many people, who are so much into agile actually have begun to think that waterfall perhaps doesn't even have any advantages. And I'm thinking, if you and the client actually have a shared vision, or at least if you have a vision that's compelling enough to convince the client, and then you're building something out, then perhaps waterfall is the best way to be, because then it will bring in the efficiencies and the effectiveness of a linear process, because I don't think the requirements will keep changing. Yeah, so actually it boils down, the difference in these two methodologies kind of boils down to whether you have a good handle on requirements from yourself or from the client, right? Whenever you're developing something. So let's make this a little simpler. Suppose you're trying to make a piece of furniture, let's say a chair, and you are in a waterfall sort of way, obviously. What would you do? What you would do is you would try to look on the internet and understand exactly what kind of chair you want, get the requirements really down pat, and make sure that the spec is really clearly written, what material, etc., etc. And then you kind of develop your own, chair, and then you test it out, and then it's all done. Now, if you had to do it the iterative way, what you would do is perhaps, make a virtual prototype and get feedback from, the client or yourself, and say, hey, how does it really look? And then maybe kind of get 3D printing involved and kind of see if it can be printed, or just see the first thing out on cheaper material and then get the real material out later and stuff like that. I don't know where I'm going with this, but essentially it's kind of different because there are many iterations in an iterative sort of methodology. I mean, that's like obvious, isn't it? I'd like to quote two examples where I've seen waterfall work pretty reasonably well, and I've seen, iterative work pretty reasonably well. So if I look at Facebook, Facebook is an interesting sort of example, because Mark Zuckerberg, if you've seen the social network, of course, Mark Zuckerberg did something really interesting. He kept iterating, face smash or whatever, and then it had a news feed, and then it had a match profile. And so he kept building it based upon an ever expanding vision. Now, the key is that the vision was expanding and it was not fixed at the beginning. On the other hand, if you see how Amazon was built up, I think Jeff Bezos knew exactly what he was building. So while he did start off with books, he knew that the next category was going to be music, and the next category might be electronics or whatever it may be. And he kind of developed a really, really straightforward e-commerce website that was perhaps, since I was not and have never worked in Amazon, perhaps built more in a waterfall-y linear kind of way. Because Bezos had the vision. Bezos had the vision to know where he was going, while Zuckerberg was letting his vision expand as he was evolving. And I think therein lies the difference between the two methodologies. I think what is extremely important for us to understand is that, we need to have a better understanding of ourselves and whether we have the vision for the project or not. And it's no shame saying that, hey, I don't have the exact vision. I'm going to throw a few things around. Let's see what sticks and let's see what doesn't. And let's see, And it really depends upon the kind of person you are. Are you a bottom-up sort of person, or are you a top-down sort of person? And it really depends upon, you might be bottom-up for a certain project. You might be top-down for a certain project. But of course, that doesn't typically happen because personalities don't change. But sometimes it does happen. Now, what I'm saying essentially is that to consider these hidden factors before deciding your methodology on whatever project you're choosing to do, whether it's building a chair or, doing up your house again with an interior designer or building a piece of code. You'll be very, very happy that you did so. Well, I hope you like this diary entry of mine, a little nerdy, but connected to the subject that I'm teaching right now, which is around digital project management. And I'm hoping that, you have a thought or two after this. If you love what these kind of podcasts are, happy to do more of them. Happy to, also tell you, go to ivmpodcast.com and check out their podcasts. They are very good. If you like what I'm saying, I'm the Traveling Professor on LinkedIn and on Instagram, of course. And I do a video series as well called The Traveling Professor Investigates. Do check that out as well. On that happy note, cheers, and on to the next one.
I hope you enjoyed that show. If you aren't following us on social media, please do. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. We'd like to thank our sponsors very quickly this week, thewholetruthfoods.com, Storytel, and CED. We really do appreciate your support. And we had a great week on the network this week. So tune in for some sweetness with our hosts Sadaf and Archit as they hone their sweet tooth and talk about candies. The famous, the healthy, the traditional, and international. Check out Naan Curry. You'll enjoy it. On last week's episode of The Note, Maruk and I spoke to TV presenter and columnist Veer Sanghvi, who analyzed the 2 years of the second term of the Modi government. As China and India signed the disengagement agreement along the LAC, Lieutenant General Dr. Prakash Menon and Manoj Kewalramani joined Suyash Desai to discuss the process and the consequences it will have on the nation and in world politics. Dr. Anton Harder joins Hamsini Hariharan on States of Anarchy to discuss India's right to a seat at the United States Security Council. Ashton Doctor talks about duty, how individually it binds us and how as a society it is liberating. Check out The Habit Coach with Ashton every day. Great show and great fun to listen to that. On Football Show to All the Boys to talk about their loves and sorrows for teams and their current ranks in the world of football. And also do remember to check out Cyrus Says. We had a great week last week. We had Amol Mazumdar, the ex-cricketer. We had Rocky and Mayur. And we did the Valentine special with Aisha and Kunal. Great fun. Do check it out. I'm sure you will enjoy that. And with that, I hope to see you again next week.
If you love cricket, listen up. The Edges and Sledges Cricket Podcast is here for you. Hosted by DJ, Varun, and me, Ashwin, we bring a fun, fresh fan's point of view to talking all things cricket. Sometimes it's just the three of us, sometimes we have guests, including current and former international cricketers. For new episodes every week, check out the Edges and Sledges Cricket Podcast on the IVM app, website, or wherever you get your podcasts.